Khue and welcome to my orchestra concert vlog. So tomorrow night I'm going to my very first classical music concert, which is called the Tchaikovsky Night. And as you can probably guess from the name, it's about the music of Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky, the famous Russian composer. And it's happening at the Grand Concert Hall of the Vietnam National Academy of Music on April 18th at 8 p.m. And here is the poster of the event. Okay, so this is a night before the concert, and my feeling now is kind of excited but somewhat nervous because I don't really know what to expect. And so I think I would do a little research tonight so that I would not go in there completely blind tomorrow. So what is Tchaikovsky music and who is Tchaikovsky? Let's take a look at his biography. So, according to the Britannica, the website, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky was born in 1840 in Russia and died in 1893, was the most popular Russian composer of all time. And his music was always had great appeal for the general public in virtue of its tuneful, open-hearted melodies, impressive harmonies, and colorful, picturesque orchestration. Yeah. So, turns out, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky was one of the greatest composers of the Romantic era. What's interesting is that he had a really emotional, dramatic style. With his music is full of big feelings from joy to heartbreak. And apparently, he poured a lot of his personal struggles into his compositions, so his music feels super intense and human. Even though he lived in the 19th century, people nowadays still really connect with his work, like some of his melodies are so iconic that it have become part of the pop culture. For example, you can say the dance of the sugar plum fairy from the Nutcracker. Well, you might have came across this melody in some Tom and Jerry scenes.
These things never change. Why, that would take a miracle.
And also the waltz of the flowers, also from the Nutcracker. Yeah. And also the Swan Lake theme from the Swan Lake. Very familiar, right? So here's what is going to be performed tomorrow. The concert comprised 3 music pieces of Tchaikovsky. The first one is the Nutcracker Overture. This one is the opening to the Nutcracker Ballad, which is super famous, especially around Christmas. I think I have heard some of this music before, even without realizing it. Well, so as I have read, people say that the overture is kind of light and sparkly, like it's inviting you into a fairy tale world. So the Nutcracker is a ballad story about a young girl named Clara who received a wooden nutcracker doll for Christmas. The doll magically comes to life and along with Clara battles the Mouse King. Then the journey comes to a magical kingdom with various sweet treats. So it sounds really Christmassy, right? Well, besides that, I also know that the Nutcracker Ballad was based on the same titled novel written by Alexandre Dumas, who is a French novelist and playwright, who is really famous in the Romantic era and also in the 19th century. And some of his work that people might know, that is the Monte Cristo, the Count of Monte Cristo, and the Nutcracker. So the next one is the Violin Concerto in D major. This is the only violin concerto that Tchaikovsky have ever written. He composed it in 1878 and is supposed to be really passionate and expressive, but also really hard to play. I'm curious to see how the soloist handles it live, because from what I have read, it demands both technical skill and emotional depth. And also, the third one is the Symphony No. 5 in E minor. This one seems super intense. People say that it's all about faith and emotional conflict. This has remind me of the Beethoven Symphony 5. Also, the name is similar, right? It's about fate, and with the what is called four sounds at the beginning. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and I'm quite curious about the Symphony 5 of Tchaikovsky. And as I have read, Tchaikovsky was wrestling with a lot of inner stuff when he wrote it, but by the end of the concerto, it apparently shifts into something more hopeful. I'm really excited to hear how that emotional journey plays out through the music. So that is basically all about the pieces of Tchaikovsky that is going to be performed in tomorrow concert. So let's call it a day and looking forward to the concert tomorrow. Here's the house before the G hour. Here's one of my most favorite part of the show is that the solo performance of Sarah Dragon, who is the violin soloist, and the way she passionately playing the violin, and everyone is so silent that we can only hear her violin. It's so, what can I say, it's really beautiful. And surprisingly, in the middle of the show, she even played the El Cornic as freestyle. And the El Cornic is the work of Strubert based on the Goethe poem. Here are some footage of the concert. One thing came to my surprise is that people made a long applause to the artist. That is so heartwarming. Well, so that is basically about my experience at the first concert ever, and it was, to be honest, some moments quite lengthy and I almost fall asleep, but it's okay. I think that it's really a good experience to see because I have never done that before, and there are sometimes some moments that feel excited and thrilled, but some I do not, and that is okay. So I think that this experience is 100% recommended. I had a really good time and I'm looking forward to the next concert.